long story short, there are hundreds of those. Hundreds. Um, and I also see those of you out there who put on a cape for me. And that really does mean the world to me because, you know, there's nothing anybody can do about this. There's nothing anybody can do to stop this hate. And so I question what my purpose is, and even being here in front of you saying that this is happening, I don't really know. I don't really know. Um, but I think the thing that bothers me is that, like, sort of this feeling that I've had inside of myself, which no one has told me, but this feeling of like, I just gotta shut up and take it. You know, I just kind of gotta grin and bear it. And I'm not built like that. So I really just wanted to come on, I think, and say thank you to the people who show up for me in the comments and the places that I'm not gonna put myself. And to the rest of y'all weird.
Hello everyone, this is PK Entertainment and we're back again, and here now we have another video for you, and we're going to talk about Moses Ingram and Obi-Wan Kenobi, and sadly more divisiveness and outrage within the Star Wars fandom. Now this video will likely contain spoilers for the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, which is currently shown on Disney+, and you can check out my review of the first 2 episodes of the series, and I'll leave some links within the description. So in terms of the show itself, there's been a lot of controversy, debate and outrage, for the most part on social media, for being honest here, and all of this is regarding Moses Ingram, the actress who plays the character known as Reva, who is a member of the dangerous group known as the Inquisitors, who were ordered to hunt down all of the remaining Jedi throughout the galaxy. Now, when Moses was first cast in the role, the initial outrage was sparked when she stated in an interview that she was warned by Lucasfilm executives that she would face certain harassment online from racist Star Wars trolls. Now, Moses added further statements saying that the show is going to bring about the most diversity, it's long overdue, and if you've got talking droids and aliens but no people of colour, then it doesn't make any sense. Now, this provoked lots of outrage amongst Star Wars fans who felt that they were being gaslighted by Disney and Lucasfilm, associating them with being racist. And all of this narrative ties way back to the fallout from The Last Jedi, and we concern ourselves with the narrative about the supposed treatment from the likes of Kelly Marie Tran, who played Ross Tico, and also John Boyega, who played Finn, who actually criticised Disney executives themselves following the certain deletions of his images from promotional pictures when the movie was released in territories such as China. Now, fans also took exception with this statement concerning diversity because they pointed out that it already existed within the franchise. If we look throughout some of the Star Wars films, some of the biggest characters are indeed people of colour or ethnic minorities, whether it's Lando Calrissian, Mace Windu, Finn, Rose Tico, Fennec Shand. So this reaction I can completely understand from fans, and in hindsight, whilst the statement was well-meaning, I think it was overall ill-advised. Now, things have intensified even further when on Tuesday the 31st of May 2022, Moses Ingram shared an Instagram post showing examples of the abuse that she received online, and she called out certain people for this abuse, and at the same time she also thanked everybody who supported her. Now, in terms of this post, I didn't personally have any problem with this. It wasn't inflammatory or provocative. I felt Moses got her point across and she wasn't condescending or sarcastic, unlike what we had, if you remember, with Daniel Pineda, who starred in the Cowboy Bebop Netflix show, when she posted an Instagram post and she came across very condescending towards fans and they didn't like the way that she reacted. This, of course, came from the backlash herself, where fans didn't feel that she properly represented the look of the Faye character from the original anime. But going back to Moses Ingram, she stated in her post that there were hundreds and hundreds of examples of the abuse that she received, and this was certainly backed up by Lucas's films claiming that there are indeed racist trolls within the fandom. Now, shortly after, the Star Wars Twitter account responded themselves, stating that they were very proud to welcome Moses into the family of Star Wars, and if anybody had any intent to make her unwelcome, then essentially we resist. In terms of this first statement, I felt there were no issues with it at all. They're merely sticking up for the actors and stating if anybody gives her abuse, then we resist them into the fandom, which is fair play in my opinion. But then they had to follow up shortly after making another statement saying that there are 20 million sentient species within Star Wars galaxy, don't choose to be a racist. Now, in my opinion, this message was far more provocative, and it sparked a lot of outrage again because many fans felt once again that they were being associated with being racists. If you're calling out people to not be a racist, then who exactly are you talking to? Are you talking to all of the fandom, some of the fandom, a large majority, a large minority? Who exactly are you telling not to be racist? Now, of course, the idea is that, yes, we shouldn't choose to be racist, but I do feel that this was far more of a confrontational tweet. I think it would have been far more ideal if they'd have changed the statement to say something along the lines of there are 20 million sentient species, make sure that everybody is treated with the same amount of respect and decency. I think that would have been a far more appropriate and far less provocative statement to make, and it would have been a statement that really nobody could have taken any issue with. Now, shortly after this statement, Ewan McGregor, who plays, of course, the lead role of Obi-Wan within the series, he also took to Instagram and made a quick video thanking everybody for the current support of the series, confirming that it had one of the highest viewed premieres within the Disney Plus. Again, whether you're convinced by that or not, that's up to you. And he also drew reference once again to the abuse that was being aimed at Moses, and he stated that everybody shouldn't do this, essentially. So after all of this intense debate and controversy, who exactly is to blame for all of this? Who exactly is to blame for yet again another splitting and divisiveness within the Star Wars fandom? Do we blame the actor for coming out and speaking out? Should they have just ignored the abuse and just kept quiet and got on about with their job? Because as we've talked about previously on this channel, anytime you clap back at your critics or your trolls, you're just giving them more ammunition to attack you with. Do we blame the studio of Disney or Lucasfilm for putting out certain posts and provoking the fandom? Or do we look at once again the ongoing toxicity within online fans themselves? So when I look at all of these elements, for me, I think it's probably a bit of everything. Now, people may accuse me of sitting on the fence, but I think there's a far more nuance to this overall discussion. Now, if we look at Disney and Lucasfilm overall, we have to ask whether these posts and tweets and statements that they're making are deliberate in order to trigger reaction from fandom. We've talked about this in previous videos, the concept of outrage trigger marketing, when you put on certain phrases that you know will provoke certain reaction from fans. Now, I think they should have learned from the fallout from The Last Jedi. If you remember, we had the criticism of the film itself, and then certain people such as Rian Johnson were coming out and accusing fans, and this again built up the antagonism between both fans and the creators of the films. And let's be honest here, studios are more than aware that if you mention issues such as sex, religion or race, it's always going to stir up traction within the internet. And I do believe that there is a tactic to try and stir up more traction within the internet, as studios believe that it will lead to more clicks, more views and eventually more subscribers for their platforms. But it doesn't turn out to be that way. As what we saw with the He-Man animated reboot from Kevin Smith, you may indeed get an initial spike in terms of the eyes on the actual product, but if the product doesn't turn out to be good enough, then eventually people will turn away and you won't have that sustained favour or subscriber base that you're so desperate to attain. And for me, I don't believe that Moses would have gone absolutely rogue and started posting all of these messages without Disney's approval. And we have to ask, was it pure coincidence that they tweeted so soon after she posted on Instagram herself? Now, there's the ongoing issue of hypocrisy here as well. Now, whilst it's good that Disney have backed Moses and stuck up for her, many fans have rightly asked where was their support for Gina Carano, who played Cara Dune in the Mandalorian series, when she was coming under heavy fire from sections of the trans community for not updating the pronouns within her social media. And I think it's a fair point. You know, if Disney wants to stand up for their actresses, then they have to be consistent. They can't pick and choose who they choose to protect online. You can't stick up for Moses and then not for Gina, because both have come under attack from little to no provocation. So you've got to be consistent in your overall principles when regarding your actors and actresses. So again, it's issues like this that causes further discourse between the fans and the studios. We then have to talk again about the toxicity within fandom, and whilst it's not right to put everybody under the same category, not every fan is the same. And again, I do believe that the majority of fans care mostly about the source material itself. As long as you stay true to the essence of Star Wars and you pay proper respect to the canon, then I honestly think that the majority of fans couldn't care about who's white, who's black, who's Asian, who's Muslim or who's Indian. It doesn't really matter. As long as there's good storytelling and good characterization, then it doesn't matter who the colour of the person is playing the roles. But at the same time, you can't ignore the existence of haters and trolls within fandom. Actors or actresses getting racially abused by fans is very much a real thing. Now, some may get it more than others, and it may be a small minority that's handing out the abuse, but the fact is the racial abuse still exists, and we should be making a stand and looking to stamp this out. Any abuse shouldn't be tolerated, whether it's racism, sexism, or ageism. The cast of actors should never come under attack from fans online. And at the end of the day, Moses didn't call for the fans racist, as what many people interpreted. She simply called for more inclusion, which again can be debated as to whether inclusion already exists within the franchise. Moses didn't attack anybody within the fandom. So overall, this is just all of a mess, and I think very unnecessary, and it just builds up again more divisiveness and antagonism within the Star Wars fandom. It just seems that in this current Disney Star Wars era, that Disney and Lucasfilm just can't get everybody on board with what they're doing. We all know how divisive the Disney Star Wars trilogy of films were, especially when we talk about the treatment of Luke Skywalker. Now, yes, there was a bit of an upturn in positivity with the Mandalorian series, especially when we saw the reveal of a CGI Luke Skywalker. And of course, Baby Yoda has become very popular amongst fans. But when we come on to the Book of Boba Fett, that had a very mixed reception, as many fans that the character of Boba Fett was disrespected and actually pushed to the sidelines in order to focus far more on the Mandalorian. So when going into Obi-Wan Kenobi, I was hoping that we would be much more free of all of this anger and outrage. And when going back on the show, I initially felt if there was going to be any outrage, it would be more over the confrontation between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader. I felt that many fans would take contention with the fact that both Obi-Wan and Vader are coming into confrontation again, and that confrontation would very much undercut the initial meeting that we saw between the two in A New Hope. That's what I thought the outrage would be, not about this racial narrative that I think really is unnecessary and didn't need to exist at all. So as the show progresses with its ongoing episodes, we'll keep an eye out and see if there's any further fallout from the series, but I just think Disney has to realise that coming up with these certain virtual signal statements, whilst on the outside it may seem to be good intentions, they do have to be far more considerate in their approach. And I think that triggering a reaction from fans, whilst may cause a short-term viewership, it won't gain you that favour long-term, which is what you need if you want your Star Wars to currently succeed in terms of streaming platforms or theatrical releases. So they just need to be more considerate in how they put their statements out and have more consideration of how their words will be interpreted by certain fans. Whilst it's good that they're protecting the actors, they have to make sure they have to be consistent. And yes, at the same time, we do have to recognise that there is toxicity within fandom, and we have to look to stamp out any abuse, whether it's racial or sexism, in terms of the actors. So those are my overall thoughts and feelings on the recent issues regarding Moses Ingram and the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, and questions around racism and whether online fandom is really toxic, or whether Disney themselves are very much trying to gain traction by provoking fans online. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you think this has been really much more of an overreaction? Do you think it is indeed deliberate by Disney as they're trying to get more clicks and views and subscribers? Or do you realise that there is toxicity within fandom and that more measures should be taken in order to ensure that actors and actresses don't receive abuse online? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Please also hit and like those subscription and notification buttons so I can provide you with more high quality content like this in the future. But that's it for now. Take care of yourselves, stay at safe distances, and I will see you very, very soon.